Practically every foreign minister or official who spoke said, this isn't just an Argentine case, we all face the same thing. And the other point that has been made by a number of, especially the president of Uruguay, who said right around just after the Supreme Court ruling, he said, look, this is not just Argentina, but he said, look, they're going to come after Argentina's assets, they're going to come after their oil, they're going to come after one of their major shale oil deposits in the country. And as Lyndon LaRouche pointed out, he said this is the policy of bail-in, which is now in full force. This is the British Empire. And took off from there to say this is now makes absolutely clear that we're facing a situation of global war and that Argentina cannot back down on this. The president of Uruguay said, now America, all American nations must mobilize. This can't just be an issue of Argentina alone against the vultures. This is all of America, all of Ibero-America has to join in and come up with a strategy to help Argentina, because they're coming from Argentina today, but tomorrow they're going to come for us.
This week, LaRouchePAC and associates of LaRouche attended 2 emergency meetings at the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C. The meetings were convened at the request of Argentina to discuss the recent U.S. court ruling, which sided with a handful of vulture funds preparing to bankrupt Argentina.
Well, Argentina didn't take this lying down.
No, they didn't. And since that time, they have really launched an international offensive seeking support, saying this is complete insanity. How is it possible for a tiny group, a minority group of scavengers to demand payment when we have carried out the terms of our restructuring religiously? We've followed the rules, we've made our payments, we've carried out reordering and restructuring of our debt and our finances for the last 10 years. And suddenly you have a New York judge ruling that our restructuring doesn't really stand any further. It can be overturned by this, small group of murderers. But the point is, Argentina launched this offensive. They have gained extraordinary support from international agencies, from practically every single regional agency within Ibero-America. The Mercosur, the Union of South American Nations, the Community of Latin American Caribbean Nations, UN agencies, UNCTAD, the G77 plus China, Russia, just a really astounding array of support from, and that was the background and the context for their coming to the OAS for an emergency foreign ministers meeting to say, here's the issue. We want to pay our debt. We have this legal restructuring in place. We're being prevented from carrying out our legal responsibility by the ruling of this judge, with consequences that will be systemic in nature, affect the global financial system, have devastating effects on our country if we're forced into default, be subject to claims from other creditors who didn't participate in the restructuring for billions of dollars more, which we cannot possibly pay, and that this is an issue of sovereignty, and we're not going to back down on this issue.
This is merely symptomatic of the state of the rest of the planet, as a powerful bloc of nations from Eurasia moving across the Pacific to South America are beginning to line up against the transatlantic financial system's collapse. So what does this mean for the United States? Where are our members of Congress? Do they recognize that the financial system that Obama has been tasked to protect is losing its hegemony? Do they realize that the series of flashpoints that they have been dragged into the middle of trying to put out in Iraq, Syria, now Palestine and Israel, through Ukraine and into Russia, are the attempts of a bankrupt political and financial system to spread chaos amidst those people and nations who are otherwise trying to move beyond a world dominated by financial speculation? The single most important development that could break the back of the British Empire today would be the impeachment of Obama. This week we launched a mobilization throughout the country to keep the heat on the members of Congress whom we see on a regular basis in Washington, D.C.
Over the last couple of years, Lyndon LaRouche Political Action Committee, with the website and with the national conference calls, meeting people that LaRouchePAC has run in on the streets who do want to get active, involved in the impeachment drive to remove Obama from office, have gotten on our weekly calls and have gotten, latest kind of political dynamite, politically accurate and effective information and ideas on how to intervene on Congress. And so in this period where Obama's impeachable violations have probably equaled King George III in terms of the enumerated violations that led to the July 4th, 1776 Declaration of Independence. So here it is 238 years later, and a lot of people who think and hear about what Obama's doing and then compare it to the Declaration of Independence of July 4th, 1776, have come up and said, hey, this sounds just like what Obama is doing. So over the last week or so, LaRouche Political Action Committee has been mobilizing people directly to buttonhole personally in conjunction with the impeachment drive that LaRouchePAC featured, for example, with interviews with Professor Francis Boyle, that it does take only one or two or whatever number of congressmen to actually initiate impeachment, either verbally or in a written form. And therefore, these individuals who do want to see Obama impeached have made it their business to go find their congressman, to go visit their congressman, not just email, not just drop them a line, but look at them eye to eye, face to face. So in the last week or so, we've had people who have been involved in this process with the conference calls the last couple of years, who by now are on a first-name basis with their congresspeople. We've had people from among the activists go directly to their town meetings, where there were, a scattered number around the country, and give them the leaflet, especially about the new Benghazi revelations of Hillary Clinton in the Edward Klein book. And the congressmen have grabbed it up. In fact, in one case, at an actual July 4th parade in the city of San Jose, a couple of activists who never knew each other except for the conference call hooked up together, and lo and behold, they scoped out where the congressman's car was, and bingo, right in the middle of the parade, they alerted the congressman, that congressperson they were there. The congressperson's car stopped. They handed the congressperson the Ed Klein book on the blood feud between the Clintons and Obamas, and handed the congressman the leaflet on impeachment, which the congresswoman readily accepted. So we had another case of a very prominent Republican head of a committee type congressman in Southern California, where our people had just met on the streets, literally June 30th, on July 1st, we find out that the person we met at the post office had proceeded directly to the congressman's office, virtually from the post office, and was proud to report that he had gone into the congressman, this prominent Republican congressman, and told the staff that if this congressman does not act, which he does have the power to do something as a committee chairman, if he doesn't act on this information about the Benghazi revelations and keeps playing games with it, this person we just met was going to contact his friends who worked at a Orange County newspaper and basically tell them the story and see to it that the dereliction of duty on the part of this congressman was brought to the public's attention. So people who've been around for a while, who've been involved in our, whatever you want to call it, a Gideon's army of activists who do take their responsibilities as citizens seriously, have found LaRouchePAC approach of being able to forecast where the crises and where the flanks are open, has now created a situation where we have probably just up and down, say, west of the Mississippi, I would say minimally 40 offices were visited or the congressman sought out at a July 4th or related parade. And these do include Congress people that are on the Benghazi Select Committee. And of course, this revelations from the Ed Klein book specifically go to the fact that Hillary Clinton had rejected the idea that it was a spontaneous demonstration about an anti-Islamic video, and that President Obama had suborned perjury on the part of Hillary Clinton. And so these congressmen who are on this committee, and two of them happen to be in California, one of them happens to be in Washington State, we're making every effort to make sure that the investigators investigate what should be investigated instead of any kind of cover-up and shilly-shally and shim-flam. So that's the idea, is the people who want to get involved, there is a way, and I know people have said to me, gee, I didn't know there was something I could do about this that could actually affect the course of history. This is great. I mean, people that our organizers meet at the post office one day who get on these activist calls with the national call or the Western Mississippi call, they want to do something, and they are overjoyed to find out something can be done. And in that sense, this drive for impeachment, it really is the Declaration of Independence, that if we consider that the Founding Fathers actually forecast that someone would try to destroy this country and you had to have the power of impeachment, the impeachment is it is the modern-day Declaration of Independence to overthrow tyranny, and the violations of Obama and the British Empire are exactly equal to what King George III did. And I think that is something that every American citizen ought to want to do, is do something that will show posterity beyond our time that we actually did take up the mantle and that we did fulfill our personal identities as American citizens in the real best sense of the word. Everyone getting in on this mobilization over this month of July, as Congress will be in session, the activities of individuals, buttonholing, meeting, calling, visiting, could be the decisive difference in getting one or two or three congressmen to get the ball rolling. I mean, what's holding these guys up? Why haven't they already impeached Obama when the evidence is so overwhelming? Well, that's the job of the citizen. The job of the citizen is to make sure their elected official acts on what the Constitution says they're supposed to act. Let's be victorious. Let's not be victims.
Stay tuned to LaRouchePAC.com for more.